There's a lot happening with the Eagles right now, and some of it is going to surprise a lot of people. The OC search just took a turn. Outside moves around the league are starting to affect Philly directly, and the quarterback conversation is bleeding into how the offense gets rebuilt. So let's get it mixing. What's up, Mafia? Before we get into any news, can we just sit back and think about how the Eagles messed up this season? Because right now, in my opinion, there's no team in the NFL playoffs that the Eagles couldn't beat. We beat ourselves, and it's all in part of having Kevin Patullo as our offensive coordinator. You got to think about the road to the Super Bowl right now. If we could have beat the injury-stricken Niners, I think it would have been smooth sailing all the way to the Super Bowl. We got the Rams, who are playing on Saturday, and we pretty much own them. The Bears got kicked out, and the Panthers, to me, would have been a cakewalk. The only competition really would have been the Seahawks, and I think that the Birds would have no issue with putting them away. And then you got to go to the opposite side, which is the AFC, and right now the Patriots are going to play the Broncos for that final spot. I have the Patriots winning that one easily, and at the beginning of the season, I had it that the Eagles were going to play the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So at least half of the prediction that I had came true. Hopefully next year we get it right and we can make a run to the Super Bowl, but this year kind of just sucks being on the couch while everybody else is playing.
Well, that sucks.
But anyway, on the Eagles news. Let's start with the offense because everything circles back to the offense. The Eagles are widening their offensive coordinator search, and one name keeps coming up, and that name is Bobby Slowik. If that name doesn't immediately ring a bell, that's fine. Slowik comes from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. He was the offensive coordinator in Houston during C.J. Stroud's rookie season. That was the year that Stroud looked like the future of the NFL and looked completely comfortable running an NFL offense. The offense leaned heavy onto play action, motion, timing, throws, and spacing. A lot of answers built into that design, which is why Philadelphia is interested. But after that rookie season, Slowik stayed another year in Houston where he could have gotten a coaching job. But the following season, C.J. Stroud was ass.
Ass!
Like completely ass. Stroud progressed and the offense was less explosive, and ultimately Slowik was fired. Move on to last season, he lands in Miami as the passing game coordinator under Mike McDaniel himself. So you're talking about someone who's lived in systems that values movement and rhythm. And that appeal is obvious for the Birds. The risk is also obvious. Slowik has called plays before, but his best plays actually come from one season. Since then, he's been a middle-of-the-pack offense. It's really a high-risk situation, but high reward if it actually works out. And that's where you kind of pause and you weigh out your option. And then there's Josh Grizzard. And this one already has a split reaction. Grizzard was promoted internally in Tampa after Liam Cohen left. He stepped into an offense that already had key players and concepts built in. And once he took over, the production dropped across the board. Efficiency dropped, explosiveness dropped, and the offense felt flat. But in his defense, Tampa dealt with injuries all year, and Baker Mayfield regressed during the season. Grizzard comes from a similar background, motion, concept, scheme-driven, and comes up with answers on the fly. But the issue here is this may be a projection hire. You're betting on what he might become, not what he's actually proven, and not what he is. And after the way last season ended, I don't find that comforting at all. And these low-level interviews are happening because so many teams in the NFL are in need of a head coach. And once teams start hunting for the same coaches, the math changes fast. And that's when it's not as simple anymore. Once other teams get involved, it stops being Philly's decision alone. Sean McDermott getting fired in Buffalo blew this thing wide open. All of a sudden, candidates have leverage, and head coaching paths open up. Money changes, control changes, and Buffalo really matters here in regards to Philly, because Joe Brady is still sitting there as the Bills' offensive coordinator, for now. He helped stabilize and grow Josh Allen, brought more structure to the offense, and he fits what Philadelphia is looking for. But if Buffalo reshuffles or promotes from within, that door either slams shut or swings wide open. And Philly wouldn't be alone once it's done. There's also a strong possibility that Brian Daboll goes after the job because of his connections to the organization and with Josh Allen. If you're Brian Daboll, there's a clear path to become a head coach, and I'm sure he'll take it. Same with other top candidates. And that's why the Eagles are talking to more people just in case. They're adjusting and switching their game plan on the fly. Which brings us to Jalen Hurts and the way people have started to talk about him. Nobody in this building is talking about moving on from Jalen Hurts. The conversation is more about what they've been asking him to do week to week on every Sunday, and why he was a shell of who he was last season. Last season leaned heavy on isolation routes, long developing plays, and putting him in many situations where he had to improvise. And that's not where Jalen Hurts thrives. You see the best version of Hurts when the run game is alive, the first read is there, and the offense isn't consistently behind the change. Which is why this offensive coordinator hire matters so much. It's going to tell you exactly how the Eagles want to play moving forward. And while everyone is focused on the next hire, the front office is already a step ahead. The Eagles are already scouting the 2026 draft, and the names popping up tell you exactly where their heads are. Corners like Keontae Scott, defensive lines like Stephen Daly, and trench depth like Carter Smith. Because Philadelphia never waits until it's a problem. It sounds early, but this is how they've always done it and how we've always been. Plan now and avoid panic later. And that leads straight to our cap. Howie has already acknowledged it. Big contracts, hard decisions, and no room to be sentimental. Which is why the A.J. Brown rumors are still existing. Nothing has happened yet, but these rumors didn't just pop out of thin air. Brown's cap number is massive. He's still elite and he's still playing at an all-pro level. And there are teams out there who are watching closely. Right now there are rumors circling around the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Both are in desperate need of a wide receiver run. Both sitting on cap space. Both needing a move that changes their offenses overnight. And he'd bring back real value if we decided to move him. Do I think Philly wants to trade him? Absolutely not. Do I think they'll listen if the phone rings? Absolutely. They always do and they always weigh out their options. Now think about it. When you line all this up, right? The offensive coordinator search, the league movement, the Hurts talk, the early draft prep, and the cap pressure, it's all connected. The Eagles are choosing a different direction, and once that choice is made, everything else follows. So I want to hear from you. Which offensive coordinator makes the most sense for the roster? How do you want this offense to look next season? Are you entertaining the A.J. Brown conversation, or is that dead on arrival? Drop it in the comments and let me know. A lot of these stories still have moving parts. Some of these names won't be available a week from now. Others might pop up out of nowhere and the league shifts again. The search isn't done yet. The direction isn't locked in. And the next couple moves are going to tell you exactly how serious Philly is about fixing their offense. And we'll stay on top of it as it all develops. Every interview, every shift, every rumor that actually matters. So make sure you're locked in because this offseason is just getting started. So signing off, this has been the Midnight Green Mafia.